Yes, welcome to Bladtcast 681, a number that keeps just getting higher, and every time it seems more like a cry for help. I am Christian Bladt, and very excited to have a conversation that seemed so foreign, maybe even as recently as a few months ago. But but I want to talk about the health of the movie industry, and joining me to do that are a number of people, some familiar faces for people who watch the show and familiar voices for people who listen. And I will start with our friend Lucy, aka Cayley from Once Over with Cayley. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, and it's true. Everybody does love my voice.
Who doesn't? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say otherwise.
You're
As far as
insane.
no, I know. I've heard a few people. But thank you for wearing something that tries to dispel the rumor that you are, in fact, a man. I've never been one of those people, but it's a very popular, internet myth out there, much like people on the internet trying to say that Adam Hughezy, the H-man Hughes, is less than a man. But I think we all know that's not true, Hughezy.
Yeah, I'd like if Cayley could do something that shows us that she doesn't have a tattoo on her lower back. Thank you.
Good luck.
Hit the like button for that. And I can see him in the preview, but then when I put him on screen, I don't see him. That's very odd. I don't quite know what's going on there with Nasty Neal. Neal, are you hearing us, and can we hear you? No, I think he's frozen in the earlier box. Maybe that's what it is. So we enjoy Nasty Neal, but we want him to actually be moving around and able to hear us and talk to us.
Not
And
really.
well, I do.
Yeah.
So hopefully he gets reconnected, and we've got a very emphatic yo from right there in the chat. So yo, right back at you, sir, if that is your real name. So I wanted to talk about a couple of movies that I know Cayley and I have had a chance to talk about one of them, and that is Obsession. And Hughezy, I believe you just saw that recently within the last few days, right?
Yeah, last Friday, I've now started a thing where I'll go see everything on a Friday. I get Fridays off now. And I went to see Backrooms and Obsession back to back. And what a day it was. This Friday, I will be going to see He Man and Scary Movie. So I can still say that last week was the best time.
Yeah, that's probably about right. I think that's what we can understand. I will be.
Hughes,
I'll be
did
seeing He
you
Man on Thursday just to show off. What were you going to say, Cayley?
did you end up seeing Passenger also?
I saw that the week before with Star Wars.
That's
Eh,
right.
So you like to see just two movies at a time because otherwise, why are you traveling to your local cinema?
my record once was five. Well, I was
Oh,
literally at the cinema the entire day.
that sounds amazing. So, in any event, I think that I try to just see one movie when I go so that I can think about it and enjoy it. And maybe we'll get your thoughts on Passenger a little later. So, you had the advent of even one more week of people talking about Obsession. And yeah, I'm going to make the joke. You're all waiting for it. Being obsessed with Obsession. Hit the like button, please. So, we'll start with you, Hughezy. Your thoughts on getting to see Obsession.
But I remember seeing the trailer for this last year, and I didn't think it looked all that good or different. But then I heard that it only cost $750,000 to make,
Yeah.
and then having seen the trailer again, I was like, "There's no way that's what it cost. Maybe it's 75 because it looked like it was on the level of everything else." So that alone caught my interest, and then I noticed the word of mouth. People were saying like, "No, this is genuinely really good. Like the acting in it is really good." So I thought, well, nobody tells me what to do. I'm a man. So I went to see it for myself without any dumb bitches telling me how to think. How dare they? And I thought, wow, I was right the whole time. It was really good.
Well, yeah, I think that that's basically the takeaway from it is that uh, Cayley, I'm used to always calling you Lucy. Cayley, I think that I personally had an expectation for what it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be very entertaining. It just went so much further from what my expectation was. Do you think that's an accurate assessment for your take on Obsession?
I do. I will say though that I am very, very happy to hear that Hughezy had an original thought that was not influenced by anybody else, and then he stuck with that because he's a man. So I do want to just point that out to begin with. Hughezy was right all along. Everybody else was very wrong, especially me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I also was very excited from this trailer. I thought that this actually looked really exciting. To me, this is my type of movie. I like something that it doesn't necessarily rewrite history. I love the idea. I love the concept of if you make a wish, you better be careful what you wish for. That's a good concept. We get to see that again and again and again in movies and TV shows and everything. And I had this feeling that Obsession was going to take that one step further. And Christian, it took it 15 steps further. I never could have predicted. It was so predictable and yet so unpredictable, I guess is the best way to describe Obsession. I knew everything that was going to happen, and yet I was on the edge of my seat the entire time because that's how enchanting and tense and unhealthy this whole movie feels.
And it's funny that Cayley mentions the one wish thing. In the trailer that we got over here, they didn't include the supernatural element in the marketing. We just thought it was this woman became, dangerously like Fatal Attraction style into this guy. So it was marketed more as a thriller than a horror, and that's why I wanted to see it.
well, in Ireland, I would assume that they would just say, "This woman is a woman, so obviously she'd be crazy." Something on some variation on that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Well,
that's not
Yeah,
exactly
the,
where
the
it went.
theme music used for the trailer over here was Yakety Yak.
I would argue
That works for
actually
us.
after seeing the actual movie that truly the horror of this film is the relationship, not the horror. Yes, there are sci-fi elements. Yes, there is supernatural. Yes, there is all of this terror. Yes, there is blood. Yes, there is all of these things. But the times that I feel the most terrified are watching this toxic, terrifying pacing of a horrible relationship.
Yeah, there's a number of those moments where she is obviously this wish has taken over her entire well-being, and her aim in life is to make him happy. And yet her body doesn't quite know how, her mind doesn't quite know how. So the times where she falls, where she falls short and she's unable to do what it is that she thinks he expects, and she just gets mad at herself. You're like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. Probably because I don't know, we all know people like that. Maybe we felt like that ourselves. And just it's really those moments, where it's like, oh my God, I'm supposed to, be perfect for him, and I can't. And we have a celebrity in the chat, the great Adam Bush, who says her performance looks absolutely incredible. I do want to shout out that actress, Indy Navarrete is her name. And it is a movie filled with unknowns and Andy Richter, but it is mostly unknown actors. And I mean, she's tremendous. I can't wait to see, what she's going to turn up in next on the basis of this, because I feel like the offers within the last 2 weeks for this young actress are probably incredible.
Yeah, I just gotta say that if Michael B. Jordan can win the Oscar for playing two versions of Michael B. Jordan in Stinkers, I mean Sinners, a little joke there for us. She's gonna get Oscar nominated for this. I don't want
Yeah.
to, go too far into it for spoilers, but the fact that Christian spoiled it about the possession, where so you can see her face doing one thing, but her eyes are giving it another emotion. Like that's a
Yeah.
typical woman, they don't actually say what they fucking mean. So what are we supposed to do? We're trying to watch Fast and Furious 4 and you won't shut your fucking pie hole. That's just my life.
That seems a very specific example. And we have someone else in the chat who watched it the other day and really enjoyed it. So I think that there are some just really haunting moments, and as it goes along, we do realize that this wish, she has to fulfill it, but on some level in her consciousness, she does not want to, as evidenced by very late in the movie, Cayley, when she's her actual self and she's like, please kill me. And I'm like, oh no, I really wasn't expecting that. But that's a perfect example of where it goes, the 15 steps further than we thought it would, Kaylee.
Yeah. And I want to go back to Adam's comment. I mean, her performance in this, and again, without giving too many of the spoilers away, what's so incredible about it, and Hughezy, I think that you just hit on this with your commentary about Michael B. Jordan, she truly does play multiple characters in this movie while still playing the same character. You can tell when she is in this possessed state. You can tell when she is her true self. You can tell all of these different things, and she is doing that both with her body language, with her eyes, with the words that she's saying, with the choicefulness, with the not choicefulness when she seems a little bit more possessed. It truly is this incredible, incredible performance that I cannot say enough about. And that is what makes this movie. And I'm not entirely sure if I should give all of that credit to Inde or if I should give some of that credit to Curry Barker, who, of course, directed the movie. I think that this combination of these actors and the directing style truly made this one of these surprise hits. And that has been so reflected in the box office because it is one of the very, very, very few, if not only, horror movies ever to, I think it increased on its second week in the box office by like 30%. That's
Yeah.
unheard of.
From
in
week 1 to
horror.
week 2, it was 30%. And, obviously it was purchased by Blumhouse and distributed by them. And Jason Blum was the one with the quote that's like, this never happens in horror where it goes up that much. And I think it's made now more than $80 million off of that $750,000 production budget. And yes, of course, so much credit is going to go to Curry Barker. But I think that what we're hearing about that, and we'll talk about Backrooms in a little bit, but I saw an article which was that these movies are so good. Did these guys really direct it? So now they're trying to be like, well, it's too good for them to have done that, which I think is one of those backhanded compliments sometimes that bands get. It's like, oh, they sound so good, they must be lip syncing. And someone who's never lip synced on stream is our friend Nasty Neal, who was with us for a bit, but I think you're
very,
back
very
now.
briefly.
Yeah, but now you're with us, and we're about to sort of go into the filmmaking side of Obsession, but I want to get your thoughts first, Neal.
On Obsession?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I loved Obsession. That was one of the best experiences at the movies this year. What also was cool, the place was packed, and it was all mostly young adults, like probably college age kids. And a lot of great reactions in the theater, and it was good to see, the theater like really busy. And I went the second weekend and didn't expect it to be like basically sold out. And then I also noticed a lot of them afterwards were like seemed very depressed, which I kind of like that as well. That people actually came out thinking maybe it would be like a typical horror movie, and like they were actually affected by it.
Yeah, and I think that that is what you should be feeling when you walk out of this movie is very depressed. We'll try to not get too spoilery. I think some of the bigger stuff we'll have to talk about, but there is a very low death count in this movie, at least for humans, and it all like kind of hurts, because of the way that they happen over the relatively short amount of time, and you're like, oh no. So I think we're feeling a lot of things, but to what Cayley was saying a moment ago, so much credit has to go to Curry Barker. And the thought that I had, Hughezy, is that a nice backhanded compliment? Like, oh, this thing's so good, you must not have been able to do it yourself.
Well, I think it's more that basically this is what all films used to be like before the studios took over. Like we're both big, huge Marvel fans, but they those aren't directed films; those are produced films.
Yeah.
Whereas this one and Backrooms and like Tarantino stuff, and of course Zack Snyder, they are able to make these things with total control. So it's this way because that's the way we wanted to, not because the studio got us a $2 million budget increase by Subway sandwiches. I think that this is going to be a sign. And I was thinking as well, if when Greta Gerwig did Barbie,
Yeah.
they let her, which was weird because she wasn't like a big name at the time. They give her final cut or reasonable creative control. And look what happened. She made the biggest hit film comedy in history. It made over $1 billion just because they said, okay, you do it. Like, you actually direct the film, and she did, and it pays off. And every time we hear about a director having total control, apart from Tenet, it always seems to work out pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what Hughes is saying is like it's one
Yeah.
person's vision. It's not, like a committee of people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for a visual audience, you can see it, but I want to let our audio audience share that it is the Hollywood Reporter that is responding to why did Backrooms and Obsession spark ghost directing speculation? And that really is the thing that's starting to catch on. And they have a quote that says, "This is just a chronic pattern of contempt for the next wave of cultural production." An industry insider tells the Hollywood Reporter about the baseless online conspiracies surrounding the horror hits. And we will talk a little bit about Backrooms in a moment, but I just want to kind of stay on Obsession for a moment. I actually have a friend who knew Curry Barker. They're both from Alabama, and she saw it like a year ago, and she had a post about how excited she was that he's had this success. But I mean, to have this movie done, Neal, and then just like, okay, who wants it? And for Blumhouse to be the ones, I don't think you could be any happier if you're Curry Barker that it's them and not I don't know, Disney or Bad Robot. Imagine if Bad Robot bought this, how much it would have fucked up the release.
Yeah, I think it was only scheduled to come out for like 1 week, but it did really well, and the word of mouth really took off for the following weeks. And it's a pretty basic story. It's kind of like the classic monkey paw story,
Yeah.
but it's done so well. And the actress, I'm not sure her name. She's really great in the movie.
Bernadette McGovern.
Yeah, and it just really worked for audiences.
Yeah, it's either Ind or Indy. Navarette is definitely her last name, though. So and I think that the other performers are fine. It's just she excels far and away so much, Lucy. I think that she's probably the one that's going to get all the accolades.
And she's very deserving of them.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. But
I want to actually hit on a little bit more the concept of like when a director truly has creative control as opposed to a committee doing things. I have said this time and time again, but I always feel like I need to give a lot of credit to A24. A24 has had a lot of changes over the last few years, but A24 was doing things that other studios were not doing, that other production companies were not doing. When they gave Hereditary to Ari Aster, and he was a complete unknown, he had never directed a feature-length film, and they said, just do whatever the heck you want. That is how we are now here with movies like Obsession and movies like Backrooms. And I think that people are really starting to realize that it is not necessarily the how do we make money off of this, but rather the how do we make people enjoy this that is keeping things in the box office, that is making people excited about these movies, that is making that word of mouth that Neal just mentioned, that is, the marketing is whatever, the excitement is whatever. It's that people want to see it because somebody gave a fuck about this movie. And I love that. And I want to give A24 so much credit for that, because I really don't think that any studios were doing that until they started doing it.
What were you saying?
At least not to that level.
Right. Sure.
And they're all making a fortune that way because instead of trying to make one film that grosses $1 billion, let's just make a bunch of smaller films that will gross $1 billion. And plus, I was just going to say, one of the things I would say why Obsession's making so much money, and I'm one of them myself, I always say that a legitimate 5-star film gets the extra 5th star for rewatch value. which doesn't really happen all that much anymore. But because of the acting of that fucking woman, whatever that bitch is called, she's so good by a woman's standards
Well,
that
go ahead.
yeah,
No. Let the woman interrupt you, Hughes.
Okay.
That's how this show works.
Oh
This
boy.
isn't
Oh
Hughezy
boy.
Entertainment.
Well, not only is it rewatch value, what I was going to say is now there's all this hype also because they had to cut out a whole bunch of scenes to not make it NC-17 for the theaters. So for Obsession, they cut out a whole bunch of scenes, and now there is going to be a director's cut that's going to go to streaming. And so they're going to make a butt ton more money. That's fucking genius.
Yeah, because how excited am I to see that version? Yeah, it's very
I
specifically.
want to see the fucked up stuff.
There's
I want
stuff
to see
late in the movie where she ends up with tattoos and we don't actually see why. I think you could piece that together. But so there's a let's just say there's a very intense scene in a car that had to be trimmed very specifically because that scene alone was going to get this movie an NC-17. And Curry Barker's like, well, I don't really want to change my art, but boy, I sure want a lot of people to be able to see it. So I think this is a great solution, Neal, that we're going to make the theatrical cut, but don't worry, not too long from now you're going to get the gore and guts cut.
Yeah, and also like Hughesy's talking about, or everyone's talking about, like that they release this movie that's just a good movie and people went to see it. And I think that the studios think that all audiences are really stupid, so you have to just put out like something that everyone can understand. But I think this shows that people want to see good movies, not just something bad. It used to be like the big blockbustery movies were still good movies. Most of them, they weren't just, paid by numbers, like, things exploding for no reason. And, but as an someone involved in independent film, it's very, it's a great feeling to see that like, these small budget movies are doing really well. Cause I go to the movies every weekend, and besides like, the big movies, indie horror movies are what people go see.
Hughezy, I feel like you wanted to jump in with something.
Yeah, no, it's basically, I think that people are going to rewatch this simply for the acting, and it's kind of like what Cayley rudely interrupted the man with, was that not to risk getting your channel flagged, but there's a what we think is a love scene. In hindsight, you now realize that was actually quite a rough
essay. Is that what you're trying to say? That,
yeah. And her, and I know it's going to sound dumb, but her acting in it, where like she's like crying while speaking normally, and he's, and so that sort of stuff is when you rewatch it and you realize like, oh Jesus, this is dark stuff, but it's.
Yeah, and I like that they don't give away too much about like what's going on with the real Nikki. Like it's enough there that it's very dark to think about, but they're not completely explaining to you.
Yeah, there's a particularly dark moment that I won't go into, but I dug up a photo from my friend Alana was the one who knew Curry Barker, and when they had the screening a year ago, they gave out these cat cookies, and it says, "What's the verdict on cat?" So this is on your way into the movie, and obviously you can't save those collectibles. And Cayley, I know that you're a cat person, and I want to make sure everybody sees the look on your face thinking about your cat Booger at this moment in time. But he's still alive and well, and if he were in that room, he would
I don't know that. I can't see him right now.
That's true. He's not.
Is your cat named Booger?
Yeah.
Booger, not Booger.
Oh, have you seen the movie? There's a movie named Booger about a cat named Booger.
About a cat. I named him Booger before that movie.
All right.
Yeah, I like Neal. I thought you named him Booker after Richard Grieco. Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
that's
that's actually accurate.
Very topical reference. No, I do wonder about your cat because he's not in there attacking the windscreen on your microphone. So who knows? He might not be with us. Do you need to go do a welfare check on Booger, or you figure he's going to be okay? Oh, and sorry, Neal's got a.
This is a little stuffed hand.
Yeah. Oh my God, I did the wrong thing. Hang on there, Neal. There we go.
Booger,
Booger awesome. Cat bite. It's a little tiny hand. Yeah.
So, but I agree with what Hughezy was saying that the rewatch value, especially when you know the movie, there's going to be a lot of the things that you see, like the creepiness of the love scene and just being on a date with him and not really being able to have conversation. I think this movie is tremendous, and I'm glad that people are seeing it on just the ridiculous amount of just increased box office. I think the word of mouth for any film hasn't translated into growth in the box office. I mean, way before the pandemic, nothing that I can think of. Yes, Hughezy.
But I think it really just confirms this Backrooms that people are bored of blockbusters. Like we had another lethal, a Mortal Kombat film, a Star Wars film, and there's a new Spielberg sci-fi film coming out, and I bet all three of them don't make a profit because we've seen that a million times.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the great Woody from Syracuse is making the point. Star Wars screwed themselves by oversaturating the product. I mean, a Star Wars movie being something you had to wait for every 3 years, and then in some cases 16 years, it was an event. Now it's like, oh, Star Wars, that thing I watch on television, and specifically this Star Wars movie, like, okay, so it's a really long episode of that thing that I've already watched on television. Getting something that is unique and different is, I think, just a great reason for people to go out to the movies. And Neal, you mentioned how full your showing was. Hughezy and I were trading messages that I saw a different movie. I saw a great Guy Ritchie film, but I went on a weeknight, and I saw like a 10 p.m. showing, and just the theater was still so packed. Seeing these movies as well, there were a lot of people, younger people. So maybe the idea of like, hey, what's this thing called, the movie theater, or as our friend Dame Taft says, film, to go
Yeah.
see the films.
But I noticed as well when I went to the cinematorium, the cinema was really packed early in the day, and these days you can buy alcohol at the cinema. So these kids are having like beer or whatever, and they get to watch this. So they're actually having a literal experience of a day out where they can't actually go on the phone for
Yeah.
a certain amount of time. They're probably thinking, this is kind of fun. This is way better than watching Jake Paul build a house of cards for an hour on TikTok.
Well, I mean, I don't want to
That's
sell
what
that
the
too
kids
short.
today are watching. Yeah.
They do
Um,
love all that.
Christian, I want to address something that you just said though. So you
Sure.
pointed out, like the idea of like people don't necessarily want like the box office, the Star Wars, this is what the legacy stuff is. And one of the things that you said there was, and so Obsession is giving us something unique. But as Neal pointed out before, this is a very traditional story. This is the monkey paw story. There is nothing unique about the story of this movie. What's unique about it is how incredible it is,
Yeah.
and how well it does that story. And that is why Obsession has become such a phenomenon, because we all know what's going to happen, and yet we don't know what's going to happen. And we get so drawn in so quickly. And so now all of your friends are saying, but have you seen this movie? Have you seen this movie? And nobody's ever going to do that with Star Wars, because again, I've seen The Mandalorian, and fuck season 3. Like I don't care about it anymore,
Yes.
That's why I
Yes.
think Backroom success to me is much more surprising, because that's very much more of an art house movie that I wouldn't think everyone would be into.
Yeah, and we're talking about having a unique experience, and I think the unique aspect of Obsession is sort of what we're saying, that it takes this simple story and takes it places that you're not expecting, and especially Bear's cat, Cayley, was really taken somewhere that it wasn't expecting. And I only said that because I wanted you to make a sad face again. But let's talk about Backrooms, which had a $81 million debut over the weekend. Now, as this movie was coming close, I was made aware that there were these YouTube shorts, but I didn't want to watch them beforehand because I didn't know if they set up this movie, if they're telling similar stories. Was anyone here familiar with the YouTube incarnation of Backrooms? Hughezy has put his hand up, and as a man, his vote counts for 2. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I remember seeing the short film, the first one, because it had something like 94 million views at the time. And I had heard that it was just literally a 15-year-old child made this by himself on zero budget. So I wanted to watch it specifically to see how he did this. And I don't know how. I still don't know how I did it with computer effects, but it was only 9 minutes long, and it scared the living shit out of me. It was so intense. It was so atmospheric, and all it was somebody slowly walking through this yellow maze, and then there was maybe 11 seconds in total of actual horror stuff in it, and I thought, if that's the same kid that's doing the film and allegedly he had total creative control, I thought this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and I like the way it utilizes, it's set in 1990. It utilizes camcorder footage, reminiscent in only that way of Blair Witch Project. But you want to talk about a way to keep the costs down, Neal, to have any part of your major motion picture be filmed on an 80s camcorder VHS, seems to probably be very budget friendly.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we're getting away a little bit from 80s nostalgia. Now it's like some 90s nostalgia.
You're glad that we're getting old? I choked on that.
Exactly,
I literally just choked on that.
the word
you.
old is so disgusting to Cayley that she can't even say it. It's
well, I turned 50 this year,
so did I, Neal. So
okay.
This is the year that we became old, and I think that it's time for 90s nostalgia. That's right. I think young MC needs to get his due here.
And if theaters are going to continue and movies are going to continue, people have to make stuff for a reasonable amount and not make, $300 million movies. Because even if I think the Mandalorian was like under 200 million. So even if it does,
I think 165 million.
Yeah. So even if it does, like you think, it made 200 million or 250 million, whatever, that's great. But it's, you have to make like $1 billion or 500 million to like actually be a success. At that point.
Yeah, no, the example that I always use is it's a much maligned movie, but the second Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man movie was number one at the box office for a few weeks, but then it didn't make $1 billion. And they're like, oh, I guess we have to start Spider-Man over, which, they went to Tom Holland and they got Marvel involved. So that became better for it. By the way, Dane Taft says, I never had nostalgia for the 80s. I do know some people who actively hate the 80s. So very much appreciate all of that. And I want to get specific thoughts on Backrooms from you, Cayley. You and I have not had a chance to speak about it at this point, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Well, I was pretty excited to see this. And like you, I avoided watching the YouTube shorts. I have since watched them. Not only are they terrifying, but there's some very funny ones as well. I was really pumped for this movie. This looked exciting and weird. And I am a huge fan of the main actress from this, Renate Reinsve, I think is how you pronounce her name.
Bernadette McGovern.
Yes, correct.
That's called a callback, everybody.
She was one of the stars of Sentimental Value, which was one of the Oscar nominees this year. And I absolutely adored that movie. And I was interested to see how she would perform in horror. And I loved her performance. But what is most incredible about this movie to me is that I almost don't know how to describe this movie. I have no idea how to understand reality in this film. And there are some hints early on as to kind of what's happening. We obviously know that there's a lot of things going on with memories, with how functionality works. I have interpreted this movie in more ways than I probably should be. It is a nightmare. It is terrifying. It is weird. It is interesting. It is unique. It's very interesting intellectual property. And although I liked Obsession substantially more than I liked Backrooms, I was still so excited for something like this.
Well, yeah. And, I was talking to somebody about Backrooms who, they're interested and they're like, oh, a friend of mine said that it was boring, but that might have something to do with my friend. And I was like, well, yeah, for some people, quiet, deliberately paced, thoughtful, and confusing are all words that translate into boring. Those are stupid people, but I do agree that the way that it all unfolds, A nightmare is a perfect example because it doesn't always make sense. And trying to navigate the back rooms, the physical layout is nightmare fuel, I guess, is the way that they say it now, because it doesn't make any sense. So as a result, this movie doesn't make as much sense. And, I think we're able to kind of talk about how it ends in a way that you're like, oh, okay, so that's where we're at. And there's already talks of a sequel. I think that it's okay to not answer our questions, but I don't know. I was expecting to have a little bit of a better understanding. I'm not angry about it, but
I
yeah, go ahead, Cayley.
I think that in the same way that Obsession weaponizes emotional investment, Backroom weaponizes uncertainty. And I loved that. That was exciting for me. And again, I would not call this a perfect movie. I think that people are almost interpreting it too much and they're getting too much joy out of things that are probably not actually written into it. That being said, I love the idea of challenging me with, again, in Obsession, that emotional investment, and then in Backrooms with the uncertainty where I have to just not know. I want to not know.
Yeah, I mean, I look, I want to not know walking in. I want to have some kind of idea walking out, and sort of whichever Duplass that is. The moment we get of him at home with his family, that's like, okay, so there is a real world element where they're aware of what's going on here, and sort of the explanation that he gives is, I think, a fair one from a narrative standpoint, Neal. That's yeah, we don't know what this place is either, and I find that fascinating from a future storytelling standpoint.
Yeah, well, Obsession is like it is a basic story, and it's a movie that really anyone could go in and enjoy. Backrooms is a much like an art house movie.
Yeah.
It's up to interpretation. It's a thematical movie about the themes of the film. I personally like that kind of movie. I actually did not enjoy the movie for about 45 minutes or so, and then I things started to click for me, and like I was into it. And this is a movie like real like film people would watch and then like talk about afterwards. Where Obsession, I think, is like a movie everyone could just go and get it. So I'm really shocked that this is doing so well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and it's always easy for me to say his name, Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays
Yeah.
Clark, is an
Always at the tip of
incredibly
my tongue.
unlikable lead in a movie, and we
Oh.
see that very early. That well, listen, he pays for the house. He's the man. He wants to go have a few beers, Hughezy. So you can relate to Clark in this film.
Allegedly. No, but the thing about Backrooms that got so many people speaking is that you were talking about the short films, is that it was announced like the day or the week of the film coming out. They said, oh yeah, by the way, the Backrooms opens with the new found footage entry. So I think that alone was like people were like, I'm going because this is going to scare the shit out of us. And if this is on an IMAX, can you imagine how terrifying that's going to be? But yeah, I thought that what made this great, because Cayley was talking about Backrooms, and it's kind of like it was a weird mixture of claustrophobia and agoraphobia at the same time. Like you're stuck in this confined space, but it's enormous. So that you can fully stretch out and relax and sit down. But where is it? Where are you going? And that's what I loved. It was just such a weird vibe and atmosphere to it all. And even the color of the yellow, like the dull drone in yellow, and then the what do you call those types of lights at the top?
Oh yeah, just
Fluorescent.
the fluorescent overhead lights. Yeah, that
Yeah.
constantly flicker. Which I wouldn't have thought to bring in an electrician or someone to look at it. I'm like, oh yeah, those lights are just shitty.
So it was weird in that it's a horror film that has a constant noise through it. So it's not like there's silence where you're where then your platinum stone horror remakes that okay. The reason why the music and the score just stops is because something's going to jump out of the popcorn box, dude.
Well, you're describing a movie that I'd want to see. Dame Taft has an important question. Is there nudity? I'm sorry to report,
No.
Dame Taft, there is not. Not in either of these movies. In Obsession, you might see a little bit of male backside. And oh, wait, actually, there is some nudity in Obsession, now that I'm remembering. It's late in the film, and you don't necessarily want to see it, even you, Dame Taft. And I'll shout out the one pun if he's here. But Neal, by the way, you're very popular in this stream. You have a lot of Without Your Head and people like Toronto Stevie that just want to say hi. But what I actually wanted to bring in from Terrible Troy was screw the 80s. So
that's my older brother.
Oh, okay.
And he's much older. So yeah, he was a young man in the 80s.
Okay, I see what he's saying. And Woody from Syracuse, for the love of God, never bring back 90s fads like baggy jeans. Yeah, I'm not in the same shape I was in the 90s, so I could really appreciate baggy jeans at this point, but that's all right.
I'm in much better shape than I was in the 90s.
All right, somebody's showing off. Thank you, Neal.
Can I do my joke?
Always.
No.
The director of
Neal said no. I'm sorry. We got to. No, you know what? I'll let him.
The director of Backrooms is so young that he was born during post-production.
All right. But if we ever want to hit the like button on that,
I don't get it.
That's how you know he didn't really direct it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was ghost directed. And that director's name is Kane Parsons. I believe I have that correct. And I don't know. I mean, what about this movie would make people look at it and go like, no, they probably had like a Ron Howard or a Quentin
I'm really
Tarantino.
actually surprised such a young person made it, because when I'm watching it, it's kind of like thinking about stuff that you should have done with your life and like where are you going in your life now. And that seems like a lot of themes that I would think an older person like my age would think about. So it's a really odd thing, I think, to think about when you're in your 20s.
I think that it is an incredibly mature take on anything. And that's exactly why I think people are questioning it so much. Now, Mark Duplass, who is obviously in this movie and did Creep, he has come out and said it was absolutely Kane Parsons. He, in fact, was on the set more than most directors are. He is giving Kane Parsons entire credit for this and is saying that any of these ghost directing claims are completely insane. Yeah. But what I do think is happening with Backrooms specifically is that, again, we are all interpreting this movie in our own ways, and we are all breaking reality when we're thinking about it, and we're questioning memory, and we're having these mature takes on it because it's so open-ended. And so I think that Kane Parsons is actually getting a lot of credit for creating thoughtful messages that he might not have actually intentionally put into the film,
which is real art, though. I think,
and I'm not
off their own life, their own memories, their own experience.
Absolutely not shitting on that. And I think that one of the things that truly is unique about this new generation of filmmakers that we're getting to see with the Kane Parsons and with the Curry Barkers, what we're getting to see is these kids who have grown up with YouTube, who have grown up with getting access to learning so much more about the world than what we ever knew. And so inherently, they are more likely to be able to have mature takes on things. And so the kids that are in this generation who are doing things like teaching themselves how to do fucking insane editing when they're 9 years old and then creating a movie like Backrooms, those kids, those are the ones who are going to be able to make this interesting commentary. And then we additionally are going to interpret it that much more. And I think that's what's exactly going on with Backrooms, is that it's like partially, yes, he might be mature and insightful, but also we really want to see an answer in this movie. And so we're all like, yeah, but what about this? How does reality work? Whoa. What a dimension.
There kind of, there's like a backlash to reality. I mean, backlash to nostalgia in the movie, which is interesting for someone that age, because like the last few years, there's so much nostalgia in everything. Stranger Things, the Rubik's Cubes are popping up. But so he probably grew up just watching all these things about 80s nostalgia. So, because if you think about what would be, if you'd make a movie 20 years from now about what we were watching now, so much of it would be 80s nostalgia. So I like that he has like a backlash to nostalgia itself, like enough of this nostalgia. There's great lines in the movie about explain like what a horse looks like or a dog if you've never seen one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like explain, the 80s if you actually weren't there, but you just saw it through like these TV shows.
20 years from now, Hughezy will make a film about watching Euphoria and being really uncomfortable while he watched it. But it's okay because they're all adults in it, Hughezy. I've tried to explain that to you.
That's right. I write that on my lawsuit every time. I says, but they're acting.
That's what you're trying to tell the authorities. But yeah, I mean, I think that that there's a time and a place for nostalgia, and I think that just setting this in the '90s is a lot different than if Neal, you or I, who were 50, we set something in the '90s, because we would probably really turn a little too far into the skid. The example I always use is, people know that '70s show, but what people don't remember is that there was that '80s show that only had like 10 episodes, because it was a little bit too much of like, hey, look at this phone, like the cell phones were really big.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not how it works. It doesn't, that's the kind of nostalgia that I usually don't enjoy. And I don't know why this movie is set in 1990. In all honesty, it doesn't need to be, but that there's no reason that it can't be.
Well, I can tell you why, because of technology. I remember overrated hack David Fincher said that the mobile phone has ruined thrillers because there's too much technology on a phone, and like you can't go into the back rooms with your phone and call people and be like, dude, call my broskies, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
that's
I
very
mean,
weird.
there's so many movies where they have to figure out a reason why your cell phone doesn't work, and why they have to establish, yeah, it's the damnedest thing, but inside this warehouse, I don't have any service, but I'm sure that won't be a problem. Let's go camping it overnight. Things like that. Important question from Dame Taft. When Hughezy becomes a ghost, will he finally have pigment? Great question.
We don't give spoilers here.
Okay, I appreciate that. But what you were saying, Neal, just sort of about younger filmmakers and YouTube, this conversation was happening a few minutes ago. All the access they have. My 10-year-old son has CapCut on his iPad, and he makes these little videos, and I'm like, I would need him to show me how to do that. So yeah, I can imagine just sort of growing up with the technology. We have this YouTube generation that are turning out movies that, listen, the studios are like, thank you for making us all that money. But I think for the four of us, we're like, well, listen, glad the studios are getting a lot of money, because then they're going to be more likely to say, sure, let's take a flyer on that. Cayley, I would like to see other genres, turn over controls to someone who's younger. I think comedy would be a great venue for comedies. Typically do not have to be very expensive. And I would love to see someone this age, make a movie about what is funny, and not, I remember you and I were talking about a trailer for that Driver's Ed movie that has a lot of like young high school age / college age kids. But I'm sure that movie was made by people Neal and my age, so it just happened to have kids in it. I would like to see what does that generation think is funny, and why is it how bad my jokes are, Cayley?
Yeah, I don't know that will end up happening. Again, I think that this is kind of unique to horror, that we're getting this resurgence. However, I did just have like an entire epiphany about Backrooms. You guys probably saw me just zone the fuck out.
Well, no, I actually saw a light bulb over your head. Which I've known you a long time. I've never seen that before.
It was a crazy experience. I think that it was Neal that just mentioned there's a moment in Backrooms where they say, like, describe a horse to somebody. I can't remember exactly the prompt, but I just realized.
I'll just put it's like someone who's never seen a dog and describing it to them and asking them to draw.
I loved it so much I forgot what animal it was. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason that I just had this like giant epiphany about Backrooms, I just spent a very long time saying that I don't think that Kane Parsons is actually this intelligent. I think that we're all writing things into it from our own experiences. Us adults are interpreting it in ways that are more prophetic and exciting and cerebral than what Kane Parsons actually did. And then I have completely convinced myself against that, because that quote, that example reminds me so much of this John Gardner barn exercise. which is a exercise where it's like a writing prompt. So you're like supposed to like learn how to like do creative writing. And so creative writers often will give each other prompts. And the prompt is describe a barn as seen by a man whose son has just been killed in a war. And you're not allowed to mention the son, you're not allowed to mention the war, and you're not allowed to mention death. And
Jeez.
I'm just now realizing in this moment that Kane Parson fucking gets that. And so maybe he is that intelligent and I didn't give him enough credit. And I want to go watch Backrooms again.
I kind of need to see it again, I think.
I
Go ahead,
didn't.
Neal.
Yeah, no, I had an English teacher who had us for writing exercise. We were supposed to write explain what milk tastes like to if you've never tasted milk,
Gross.
or it was and you can't use you couldn't use certain things. And
It's so
it was
weird
really-
because when
yeah.
he got that exercise, Hughes
I don't like
wrote it
milk
tastes
either.
like cum, but I
Whoa.
don't know why. I was kind of hoping you'd be back when I was trying to disparage you, but that's right. Welcome back to the show, Hughezy.
Thank you. It was a good, nice break.
So the idea of describe milk, is that what you were saying? Neal?
Yeah, what milk tastes like to someone who's never tasted it.
Yeah, and
That is incredibly, incredibly mature.
yeah. And talking about Ghost Hughezy, the one pun says, and they say if you listen on a dark night, you can hear him saying, "Hit the like button." Yeah, I think Ghost Hughezy would still appreciate it if people hit the like button. Hughezy, I want to take a quick detour because I know you only have a few more minutes. We're sort of talking about these original, inventive horror movies made on small budgets, but you saw a more traditional horror movie that you were, I believe, completely underwhelmed by. I want you to take a moment and talk about Passenger.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I remember seeing they did this really unique thing where they did a theater only trailer, and it was an absolute masterpiece. That it was so terrifying. It was actually a edited down version of the opening scene. And what happened was you see that, and it would be I would call where they bladed their own film, where the intro to it was so good, where it's like, okay, now top this, and they don't. But I would say the Passengers was creatively and visually brilliant, but storytelling wise, it was almost as cliche as Scary Movie 6 is probably going to be. And
Right,
that-
but I think the fun of Scary Movie 6 is that it's supposed to be cliche, and well, I'll let you finish your thought. I'm sorry. Hughezy.
Yeah, no, it's just basically the characters in Passenger are they're just dumb people, and they keep doing stuff where you go, what? Like they're driving down a highway at night and they see a crashed car, so they stop to go investigate it, and it's raining and stuff, and it's like, why would you do that? Call the police or something. Like, why would you?
Yeah, I mean, even the regular trailer that I saw, I had some questions of like, yeah, I don't know. I think on a dark, rainy night, you see someone on the side of the road. You're like, I'll let someone else know that they're there.
Yeah, and that happens multiple times in the film, and you just think, these people may actually be dumb, and like it's for the jump scares. I would say watch it, but like you're never going to watch it again. You're never going to.
Very forgettable film.
Yeah.
Did either of you see Dash Cam?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
okay. Something about it reminded me of Dash Cam, and I've been curious if it's similar.
Yeah, but the problem that I had with Passengers, which was my big negative going back to Backrooms, is that it has the usual third act set piece ending, where it's like we do all this mystery and all, like, what is this place? What's going on? And oh, she's being chased by a giant monster. And it's like, for fuck's sake.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it's true that there's a lot of the last portion of the movie that is completely dissimilar from the beginning. But I guess that's kind of the point. We're finally spending time in the titular back rooms, and yeah, I sort of like the way that they explain, the people there being a copy of a copy, and sort of that, and that's why there's an image very late in the film that is, a little bit haunting. And, I have a lot of questions, Neal. I am okay with the idea of let's go ahead and let Kane Parsons try to tell more of this story. Do you feel that that's a good way to, not talking about the actual ending on the screen, but to end a film in a way where it's like, you want more of this? I got more,
Actually, no. I think this movie should be one and done. I don't really
Okay.
think it like lends to a sequel. I like that it's open to interpretation, and I don't really see the point of more of this specific story. I'd like to see more from him, but I don't think you would need to go more into the story.
Well, that's a great point because, we were talking about Curry Barker and Obsession earlier, and he's been given the keys to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, which,
Very
as I
interesting.
always say, for anyone who saw the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the idea of trying something completely different seems to be the correct course of action on that. I do agree that Kane Parsons telling a different story is something that I would certainly welcome, but I don't know. I guess if he's got more back rooms he wants to tell. Before we have to let you go, Hughezy, where do you come in sort of on that? Him telling more of these stories, or would you want to see what else he's got in that head, that far too young head of his?
Yeah, but my favorite TV show of all time is Twin Peaks. And the reason why it was so good is because it was so mysterious. And now, because of David Lynch dying while trying to extend his dick with the weight, he tripped over and fell in the pool and couldn't get up.
I don't think that's what happened.
Well,
It
according
is.
to my, it's
Okay.
it's well
Hey,
known.
if Cayley says it, it must be true.
But the thing that makes Twin Peaks so amazing and rewatchable is the mystery. And apparently there are clues to whatever stuff is, but it's like, yeah, but what is the actual answer? Unfortunately, if they do a Backrooms 2, 3, 4, 5, they are going to start answering stuff, and that's never going to be a good enough solution. So, like what Neal said, I would love if this was the only Backrooms, and we don't then. But then again, if you look at his YouTube short films, there's like what 20 or more of these backroom short films, and they're all a continuous story. So he clearly, maybe he's the one that could prove us wrong. But if they're
Yeah, if
going
he
to
has
do
actual ideas now and not just like this did well, go and write more of this,
yeah,
for the sake of it.
Yeah, the example that I use often, it comes from television, but there was a show on Fox called Prison Break, and the whole idea is I'm going to break into prison and get my brother out, and then they get out at the end of the first season, and it was on for a couple more years. But there's like, no, we kind of liked the in prison breaking out. We don't want the out of prison series so much so they put them back in a different prison. I think in season 3. So yeah, I want you to have the ideas. I agree 100% with that. I feel like if he's been working on these short films and he's got, I feel like he has the ideas. But yeah, if he was like done with the movie and they're like, this turned out great, we want to make like 4 more.
I guess you could say that about it.
Yeah, but I no, listen, I agree with what you're saying at the same time, Neal. I would like to see him take a crack at some other ideas.
Where I do think Obsession, you could do more with that. I think that's
more One Wish Willows for sure. They could turn
see what happens to her after.
Yeah,
or everyone in the movie, not to spoil the movie.
Yeah, I wish I had the biggest dick in the world, but then the dick starts like destroying cities. You get it directed by Ronald Emmerich.
I thought you'd say that, and Stuttering John would just appear.
That's a different biggest dick in the world. I believe he means largest actual phallus. Which,
that's a problem.
If there was a great time to say goodbye to our friend Hughezy, our live audience can check you out in about half an hour, right over on Hughezy Entertainment.
Yes, going live with Bob Levy, Keanu C. Thompson, Little Emmy, and Mr. Panhandler. I can't find my phone, so I don't have my notes. So there's going to be a lot of. So what do you do? Where do you come from? A lot of crowd work stuff. Oh, it's free membership day.
What does that mean? Free membership day?
Every month, YouTube gives you the ability to give out 10 free members. Okay. So we're
pretty sure you could do that every day.
No,
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 you can only do 10 a month, is what it is. Yeah,
Oh, is that what it is? Only
Yeah.
10 a month.
10
Okay.
per
you can
month.
split it up 5 in 2 different
Okay.
weeks.
All
Yeah,
right. Well,
so-
everyone should give free memberships to Hughezy Entertainment, and
No,
also,
no. He gives them out, I believe.
oh,
Yeah.
you get to give them out. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. And Cayley, don't give out free memberships. Make people pay for them. I don't like Hughesy's business model. I feel like
Oh.
he's not going to succeed. So, but I'll take a free membership, Hughezy, anytime you want to give it. We appreciate having you on here, and we're officially in blockbuster season. So, Hughezy, expect those direct messages many times throughout the year, because I expect to have an episode. Supergirl, more like super bitch. Hit the like button.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hit the gift memberships button as well.
Okay. Well, we'll all do that. And thank you, Hughezy. And the rest of us will wrap it up in just a couple of minutes. But listen, he's got Reverend Bob Levy. I don't want to keep him waiting. So I appreciate that. I did want to ask you, Cayley, how do you feel about the idea of ongoing exploration of the Backrooms extended universe?
Well, I kind of disagree. I think it was Hughezy that was actually just saying that you don't want to give away too much. And I think that actually both with Obsession and with Backrooms that you can continue this universe without actually changing the mystery. So I would more prefer to have sequels to Backrooms. And when I say sequels, I don't necessarily mean sequels. I mean, let another group of people explore the Backrooms
Sort of
and
like an
see what happens to them.
anthology.
So yeah, I don't necessarily I love this IP, and there is a lot of very interesting questions going on about the IP of Backrooms, because effectively the way that this story started was a creepypasta and Reddit posts. So who actually owns the IP to this? Is it
Yeah.
Kane Parsons? Is it Reddit? Is it the concept of creepypasta? Like, that's interesting in and of itself, but that also makes it for a very fertile soil for us to be able to go totally wild with it. And so, yes, it's entirely possible that Kane Parsons already has ideas in his head about how he can develop the next story that has nothing to do with these specific characters, but maybe is exploring how other characters will react to the Backrooms. And I would be interested in that. And I don't think it takes away from the mystery. That being said, I actually really fucking hate the idea of doing more Obsession movies with One Wish Willow. I know that One Wish Willow, everybody's like, yay, it's so exciting. We can do so much with this. We monkey pod, we did great. Don't fucking do it again. It's perfect how it is.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a wish that you change your mind, Cayley. What were you gonna say?
No.
I don't think just doing a sequel if someone wishes again. I think to follow the characters that are alive.
I don't want to see that either.
Again,
Obsession for me was so perfect. And
yeah, I think it's great.
Christian,
Well,
to steal your joke,
I think it's
I'm
the best horror
obsessed
movie
with
of the
it.
year so far.
Hey,
Exactly.
that joke is so funny it gets a bell again. So don't worry about it.
That movie is near perfect. That movie will likely be within my top 3, if not my number 1 of 2026. I absolutely loved it. It was perfect. I don't need any more. I don't want any more. I frequently say that I wish movies would cut off 10 minutes earlier than their actual end time. I do not want to see more of Obsession. It is perfect.
Well, I'd like to see Andy Richter working at the music store, and none of the other characters from this movie. How is, what's he hiding? Because I feel like Andy Richter's got something going on in there. Dame Taft says Texas Chainsaw Massacre has been remade more times than A Star Is Born and The Jazz Singer combined. I wish Hughezy was still here, because Hughezy really appreciates Al Jolson's performance in The Jazz Singer. And if you think my references were dated earlier, something from 100 years ago, well, you can hit the bell and hit the like button. I want to make sure to get any sort of final thoughts before we wrap up. And Neal, I felt like you were about to pull a thread that was left dangling moments ago.
Well, I actually just Texas Chainsaw Massacre real quick was anytime. I think the most successful versions are when it's about the family, and the least successful is when they just fixate on Leatherface, because he's not a particularly interesting character by himself. It's really the family dynamic that works.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people know Carlos Danger from this extended universe, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is far and away his favorite. And I always find that to be interesting. There are plenty of right answers in that film franchise. unless you say the Netflix movie, and then I will judge you. And that sort of brings it all together.
I think there's only one right answer for the best one of them, but I think you
well, I'm interested in what yours is. Is the one with Jessica Biel?
No, I think clearly the original is the best.
That's where I come down, but I find it interesting that someone fine. And listen, and Cayley, what's your favorite Silent Night, Deadly Night?
2.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I know, but you can make the case that 1 might be the best.
It's not the best. 2 has all the
since
best.
There's a half an hour of it in 2, but we'll fight about that at Christmas time.
What I do want to say about what we were talking about, though,
of course,
what's really not just interesting, but it's cool that both these movies are doing really well, and they're completely different kinds of movies.
Yeah.
So it's not like a formula where people just want to see this type of movie. People want to see something, different and well made. And these couldn't be 2 different kinds of movies. I mean, there's like a fairly traditional story, and then one that's just a really art house film up to interpretation and the themes. So that's I like that they're both doing well for many reasons.
And listen,
both with heavy atmosphere and incredible lead actresses and liminal confusion. But yeah, very different.
Not enough cats in one of them, but I won't say which one that is, just to again have you make that sad face. Listen, I think it is as I was saying earlier, it's a very unique and interesting movie. I think if somebody comes out of the theater and says, I don't know if it was for me, that's one answer. But the friend of a friend who said it was boring, I'm like, well, I'm going to judge you and think that you're just stupid. You don't have to like any movie. But if you're like, I'm bored, oh, did it make you think like it all? Was that the problem? In any event, I'll be interested. These are definitely 2 movies that I'll be interested in. A lot of times when people want to make small talk about movies, hey, have you seen this? It's a little bit of a slog, but I'll be very interested to hear the different thoughts. I want to hear from the first person who couldn't sit through Obsession because it was too intense for them. I want to hear those kinds of conversations. And by the way, in the chat, I already made a sequel to Obsession. In my mind, it continues where it ended and involves a bit of necrophilia. Well, good for you. And by the way, Terrible Troy points out that Andy Richter is a huge Filet-O-Fish guy. That should be a movie right there. I think we can probably all agree with that. What do you think about this comment from Dame Taft, who was kind enough to visit with us at Hackamania in Las Vegas? Cayley is Pauline Kael with tattoos. So
right. Listen, Dame Taft is always right.
That's true. Check out the Dame Taft movie show. You were just on, weren't you, Cayley?
I was. I had such a dang blast. Yeah. We actually got to talk about one of my all-time favorite movies.
What was the movie you guys talked about?
Well, we talked about a couple. Dame Taft actually surprised me with movies, and he happened to pick a movie that I absolutely love, which is Smile from, I think, 1975.
That Smile, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that was about to happen.
Well, I had to talk about Pretty Woman with him, so I had a very different stance on the movie that we talked about. But here's what I'll say about Pretty Woman. For a genre that I don't particularly enjoy, that might be the perfect movie for that genre. Is rom-coms, my wife would say While You Were Sleeping is the best rom-com. But
one of the big things that we talked about on Dame Taft movie show, so Smile from 75, it is about a beauty pageant, and that is not a typical genre that I would be interested in any way, shape, or form, but it's hilarious and amazing, and I highly recommend that everybody check it out and check out Dame Taft movie review show.
See, look at that. And he didn't even have to super chat for that. The only beauty pageant cinema I enjoy is Miss Congeniality. Neal, I want to make sure that people know that June 5th is just Friday. So End Zone 2 will premiere on Screenbox. Why don't you take a moment and tell people about that?
So End Zone 2 is a companion film to the Once and Future Smash, which is a mockumentary about 2 older actors who both take credit for a 1970 slasher film. And then they're booked together at a convention in modern day. And End Zone 2 is that movie. And so it's about a high school football player who's beaten by the other football players. His jaw's broken, and to get revenge, he becomes a cannibal, but he has to blend them to eat them.
Wow. All right. you know, Neal, that old story, right?
Yes, exactly.
You talk about how obsession is. Oh yeah, we've heard this before. But so check out End Zone 2. And I understand you had mentioned to me that you'll also be the horror curator for the Athens Film Festival later this summer.
Yeah.
Anything you can say about that, or just that you'll be involved? And
Yeah, I'll be there. We're still taking films, so you can submit them to Athens Film Festival. Mostly shorts, but we will be taking. Now they take all kinds of movies. It's an independent film festival. They're trying to because the horror part has been successful. So they're trying to build that, and so they brought me in to be the horror curator.
oh well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that, and that sounds like fun. And Cayley, what's going on?
One more thing, real
Yeah,
quick.
please, of course.
Because I haven't mentioned this anywhere, because there was a meeting right before we went live with Lockie, who people know who made the puppets for, and he is officially a part of Arbor Day. He's going to be making the monsters in my film Arbor Day that we will be filming in the spring of next year. He's going to come out. He'll be in the movie. He doesn't live too far away from me, so it's very exciting.
Lockie is so talented. I'm so excited to hear that.
Yeah, super nice guy. We get along really well. So.
Yeah, and I want Cayley to get to her plugs. Dame Taft says Arthur is better than Pretty Woman. Yes, that's a comedy. It's not as romantic as Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman is a rom-com. Arthur is a flat-out comedy. Arthur 2 on the Rocks is awful. But what's not awful is one of my favorite destinations on YouTube, Once Over with Cayley. Let everybody know what's going on over there and how they can support you.
Yes, almost nothing has been going on over there, but I'm excited because I think tomorrow I will be returning. I think I'm going to do a little movie review. Actually, Woody from Syracuse gave me a whole big mystery bag of movies. I think we're going to go through them, open them up. I have no idea what's in there. Check them out. And I'm officially, finally going to be doing a review of Patrick Tomlinson, one of the most infamous lol cows, who of course crosses over into our Dabbleverse. And I will have a very, very, very special guest for that, who has not been part of the Dabbleverse for a very long time and is going to be making a little bit of a return. So exciting stuff coming up this week.
It better not be Cardiff. I know he went to Italy, but
it's
that's
Cardiff.
not.
No, it's not.
That's not much of a surprise if it's the potato. No. I'm just kidding. I love the potato. Well, I appreciate all of that, and I appreciate both of you being here. I appreciate Hughezy, but you guys actually stuck around to the end, so I appreciate you.
I'm sorry, technical difficulties to begin with.
It's all right. Actually, all three of you at one point froze. And so now I start to feel like, it's probably my fault that all of this is happening.
We'll put the blame on you.
But please, as our friend Hughezy would say, hit the like button, subscribe to the Bladtcast, Bladtcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the audio version. We are really hip deep in summer movie season, and we'll be talking about all the big movies that are coming down the pike this summer, but also the fun surprises like these two, Obsession and Backrooms, two movies that I think back in January were not even remotely on my radar. So I'm excited for when we find those things. And of course, who are these broadcasters? Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, with myself and the great Eric Zane. I know one person on this screen is at least a huge fan of Eric Zane, and it's not Nasty Neal. Not saying that you have an opinion one way or the other, but I know how much.
I don't know how to do millennial things.
You're just doing the heart thing.
I was doing the heart.
So anyway, thanks again to everyone. If Terrible Troy says, thanks, guys, great show. And Dame Taft shouts out, who are these bears? The segment on who are these broadcasters. It must be time to say,
who are these bats?
I thought Who Are These Bats was a lot of fun, but not everyone did. It's all right. The theme song was good. That's all that matters. That's what it really comes down to. In any event, thanks again to everyone. And we will see you next time on the Bladtcast.